Hi everyone, this is Cassidy Sharples and it's Q&A day here at the REDX. I hope everyone is having a great day. Welcome to Q&A with Top Prospectors. This is where we answer your prospecting questions with the best of the best, people who have proven prospecting processes and approaches to predictably generate listing appointments. We get these questions from you, the listeners, so when you see an email from us, the REDX, that's your opportunity to ask any question about something that's standing in the way to getting the results you want. After that, for answers and help you on your success. So today we're going to be covering expireds again. The last time we talked about expireds was with Blair Ballin, but because every agent is different and everyone has different techniques and approaches, we wanted to give you a second set of approaches to get better results prospecting expireds. So let's just kind of briefly go over what we're covering today. Expireds are listings entered into the MLS that the previous agent could not or did not sell, and that listing contract expired. That means these are all homeowners who demonstrated a willingness to sell but didn't and present the opportunity to relist. So we want you to be the agent that gets that property relisted. And in order to do that, we've discovered three categories that most of your questions about expireds fell into. And that would be business planning and goal setting, staying motivated, accountability and overcoming rejection, and lastly, approaches, techniques, and methods. So I'm about to introduce you to Paula Burlison. She is in the top 1% of Las Vegas Valley Realtors out of 15,000 realtors. She's on track to close 70 listings this year, and 25 to 30% of her business comes from expireds. She's been a REDX client since 2004, and I am so excited to speak with her today. Hi, Paula.
Hi, Cassie. How are you?
I'm doing really great. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get started. Can you really quickly give us a story of how you got into real estate and where you are now?
Yeah, sure. So I started my business about 17 years ago. I was previously a paramedic here in the Las Vegas Valley, and unbeknownst to me, I had a back injury that caused me to have to reevaluate my career path, and so I inadvertently got into sales, which is longer but funny story. Was my realtor said, you'd be great at sales, and I said, I don't even know how to sell a sandwich to a hungry man. So after a while, I learned some new skills, and it's been a fun journey. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Well, yeah, and it sounds like obviously you have a lot of successful metrics to show for how well you've planned your business out.
Well, I mean, it does take, I've had a lot of coaching through the MyCare organization, a lot of support from my broker, Bob Hamrick, who is absolutely amazing, and I have had, the fantastic support of my past clients, and then just knowing exactly what to do when I go to do my business. The numbers are great and they're fun to watch and do, but I've basically found if you just do what's right for the client above all things else, everything else will work itself out.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that has a lot to do with our first category, which is business planning and goal setting. So I have found that top prospectors like yourself who make over six figures a year all have a very specific vision, and they connect that to monthly and annual goals, and they help them achieve that vision. So why is it important to have a vision and goal for your business, do you think?
In this business, we're independent contractors, so no one is vested in our success except for ourselves. So unless you have a plan of action and know what you're going to do every single day, you're just going to be coming in and doing the tasks that you need to do and not anything else. And that can get you through, and a lot of agents do have a somewhat successful business doing that. But if you really want to take it to the next level and you really want to be a top producer in this business, you have to have a business plan. And, it's interesting. So many people get into this business and they don't realize it's a business. Like it's not a job. It's like owning a pizza shop. You have to have a plan. You have to have you have to have all the things, you have to have the systems, and you have to have all the things that you need to have a business. So I have a business plan that I put out every month. It tells me exactly how many days I have to work, how many hours I have to prospect, how many contacts I have to make, how many appointments I have to go on, how many listings I have to take, how much practice I have to do, what books I'm reading, and any other personal goals I might be looking to achieve. So there's no question about what I got to do every day.
Yeah, no, definitely. Do you have like an overall vision for, like, you know how you have your goals, and those are the individual goals that you meet, like metrics. But tell us more about your vision. What is your ultimate, what are you working toward?
Well, I'm working towards breaking the 100 transactions. When I do break that, which I'm on track to do in 2020,
wow.
Then I will have broken $1 million a year in income, and that means those are really substantial numbers to me. So those are my numbers. But at the same time, a lot of people don't realize, they think that they have to work all the time and be on call 24 hours. But you can have a fabulous life. I mean, I literally get up at the same time every day, and I'm at home by 6:30 or 7 every single night, and I turn my phone off at 8:30 for business calls every single night. And so so we just have to make sure that our focus is clear and that we put it out there.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, and honestly, congratulations on getting so close to those metrics. That sounds incredible.
Well, I mean, the numbers are really, really great, but we also have to think about, like, all the fun things that you want to do. I mean, it's really, really important to set monthly goals for yourself, to reward yourself and your family. So we have an ongoing list of 101 things that we want to do. So, whether it's go to the lake for the weekend, or just like take Friday afternoon off and go to the movies. When you set small goals for yourself, and big goals, it keeps you motivated and it keeps you moving forward.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned your monthly business plan. Can you kind of give me more insight onto how you create that plan?
It's really, really basic. I'm not super tech, so I don't have an app for that. So I literally print out a calendar for the quarter, and I have September 2017 at the top, and I put, I'm going to work this day, I'm going to work this day, I'm going to work this day. And so I put out the days I'm going to work, the days I'm going to take off. And so I know exactly. So on average, I work 20 days a month. On average, I prospect between 50 and 60 hours a month, because I know which days I'm going to be prospecting. On average, I make 600 contacts a month, so I know that every day I'm making 25 contacts. And, my business plan is the 7 appointments every single month, 5 listings taken, and 5 buyer sales, and to have an hour of practice every day, and to make sure that I get my miracle morning in.
Yeah, well, that sounds great. That sounds like incredibly productive. You've got a whole system laid out. Can I ask how you got those numbers? Was it just through your own experience and kind of learning where you're at as an agent and what numbers work best for you?
No, you have to, it's interesting because you have to reverse engineer it. So you take the number and again, being part of the My Career organization, I've been in coaching for 7 years. You have a numbers analyzer, and that tool is really cool because you know exactly how many, once you put in the number of transactions and you start tracking the number of contacts that you make every single day and the number of appointments that you go on and the number of listings that you take, once you get those metrics in, it will tell you. So, so when I reverse engineer it, I say, okay, when I want to do 70 transactions, that means I have to make a certain number of contacts to make that happen. And then you break it down per month, per day, per, hour. And REDX has helped me tremendously increase those numbers with the dialer and the efficiency with the incredibly helpful.
Oh, thank you. I'm never going to stop the press. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So you kind of mentioned a little bit, you have a day-to-day schedule all set up. So what about just when you get up in the morning? What's your day-to-day schedule look like in terms of not just prospecting, but the whole big picture?
So my alarm goes off at 4:45, and I get up at 5:00, so 5:05. I try not to sleep in too much because I learn that when you hit the snooze button that you're saying no to your life. So because your life is out there waiting for you. So I get up in the morning and I read for 10 minutes. I do 10 minutes of journaling. I do 10 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of business planning, and then I go and I at that point I go to the gym. I'm at the gym at 6:00. I work out till 7. I'm back at home. I have role play at 7:30, and then I'm in the office by 8:45.
Oh, wow. That is, well, I imagine that would get you woken up before you're even at the office, luckily.
Absolutely. And then so at 8:00 I pull my expireds, and I sometimes will call them on the way into the office. And then when I get here, I don't check my email, I don't do any of that. I just go straight to my prospecting station, which is actually in a different part of the office, and put my headset on, and I do 2 hours of prospecting. I do a half hour of lead follow-up. I then take a little break, and, just get something to eat, go to the bathroom, do a little, reading. And then I check in with my staff at noon. And then in the afternoon, I return all my calls and, go on my appointments.
Well, nice. Do you have a specific order that you like to call leads in? Like you mentioned that you start with, did you say you start expired?
I call the newest expireds first thing in the morning, and then after that, I will call some old expireds. So I spend about half an hour calling new expireds, about half an hour calling old expireds. Then I'll call some past clients, which I really love to do. The significant amount of my business comes from my past clients, and so and so I'll call them because they always make me feel like $1 million. And then I'll do a half hour of just listed, just sold, or non-owner occupieds for rent by owners, for sale by owners, like whatever the mixed bag is that I need to do to finish up my contacts for the day.
Wow. All right. Awesome. Well, why do you think that you start with expireds? I mean, obviously you've got the ones that just come out, but do you think there's a reason why someone should start with expireds at the beginning of the day?
Yeah, you have to do the hardest thing first. And doing the expireds can be challenging. These are people that, and here's the thing, people are like, well, they're so angry. They have every right to be angry. They've made their beds and they've cleaned the dishes and they've made their house pretty every single day for the last 6 months and it hasn't sold, or the previous agent wasn't bold enough to tell them that they were overpriced, or wasn't able to speak to them in a manner or show them the statistics in a manner that would move them in a direction to get the home sold. So, I mean, the bottom line is that for me, people say, well, they have every right to be angry. And you know what? Our job is to sell hope. And they've lost hope. And so for me, I just take that mindset that I'm going to just, it's my job to be a hope dealer and sell as much hope as I possibly can that day. Yeah, no, and that's true. And honestly, I think that has a lot to do with what we're going to be talking about next, which is just staying motivated, accountability, overcoming rejection. I mean, we're going to be dealing with a section that really builds on the foundations that are established in your business once you have your vision and goal set. So, I find that a lot of the agents that, as I'm reading through our questions that we receive, are just terrified of picking up the phone. And it's not always that they don't understand that the person's angry. They just don't know how to deal with the anger. What would your advice be to them? I would say, it's not easy, and, you have to learn to differentiate yourself from everyone else. And the way to do that is to ask questions and to listen, to truly listen to the client. And you know, instead of being in the mindset of selling yourself, this is the opportunity that we have to really hear what they're saying and to find out exactly what went wrong, and it's our opportunity to listen instead of talk.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just such a good skill to have anyway, especially if you're going to be in the business of, you know, hope, helping people out, truly helping people out. Can you kind of tell me the story of how you overcame that initial fear, or was that pretty easy for you from the get-go?
Overcoming that rejection or overcoming that fear is something that you have to deal with every single day. I have to deal with it every single day. It helps to know that you are going to be, you know, helping a family be able to get to where they're going. It helps to change your mindset from, you know, what's in it for you to what is in it for them, you know, to be able to say, you know, I'm going to be able to help a family, you know, who's having a baby buy a bigger house. I'm going to be able to help, you know, somebody get to see their grandkids and sell their house and help them to get to Florida, you know. There's a lot of different reasons, and once you change your mindset to, you know, what can I do for them, it makes it much, much easier.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned some days are better than others. Can you give me an example of other than like that kind of positive thinking, which is so important, I think? Is there any specific mental exercises you can do, like if you're having a particularly hard morning?
You know, I subscribe to Success Magazine, and I get there, and I'm a big fan of Darren Daly, although he's not the editor anymore of that magazine. But I have you know, great podcasts. I have great things to read. I'm surrounded by my goals all the time. And then, you know, if I'm having a particularly bad day, or if I'm having a day where somebody's I've gotten a rejection that's harder to overcome, I just call my past clients. You know, I mean, they're my best clients, and they think that, you know, I've helped them, and they think out the world of me. So there's nothing wrong with being able to reach out to them and just, you know, changing your mindset that way. All of that is super important, you know. Yeah.
No, I agree. Do you think it's best to, like, you're going to get a lot of clients who, like you said, are rightfully upset. You know, they're in a frustrating situation, and they probably aren't super happy about a bunch of people calling them.
No. Could you imagine what it must be like if you got up this morning, your home hasn't sold, and now 100 agents are calling you between 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning? I mean, it would be horrible.
I know. I get a call now that I don't know who it is, and like I just stare at it like, uh-oh, I don't want to answer that. So I can't imagine. But so how do you think it's best to try to push through that initial pushback from the caller, or how do you decide when it's best to leave it alone when you know that they're just not interested? Or what's your method with dealing with that?
I believe that the first 4 things that they say to me are complete lies. And they're saying they have a script and I have a script. And their script is to find out why I'm different, and the first thing and the first challenge, I look at it as like a challenge. So they are going to tell me that they're not selling. They're going to tell me that they're not interested. They're going to tell me that their plans changed. They're going to tell me all of those different things. One of my favorite things when they say, you know, we've gotten 1,000 realtors calling us, I go, you know what, let me be the first to apologize for what you must be going through. And usually that will disarm them.
Right. Can you give me an example of, I don't know, when you called somebody and how that disarmed them and how that opened up an opportunity for you, but not just for you, for them as well?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, they're totally frustrated. They don't, you know, and 90% of the calls they're getting are from agents, most of them great agents, or newer agents that are on their way to be great, But a lot of them are like, I've done this and I've done that and I can sell this and I can sell that. And, you know, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear about you. They don't want to hear about the agent. They don't want to hear how many homes you've sold because their home didn't sell. And they're mad. And so the way to get through to them is to just be relatable and to be, and to be compassionate or empathetic to their process. And I've found that is when you come to them and say, hey, you know, I see that your home hasn't sold and it looks like it's been on the market for a while. What happened? Instead of saying, I know I can help you, you know. I mean, you gotta listen.
So there's, you know, the common excuses that people hear. And yes, I honestly think this is really wonderful that you take the time to really pay attention to their problems. But how do you know, I guess is what I'm asking is, when do you know to back off or to treat a situation differently? Like, are there any telltale phrases or signs that tell you, okay, this call is going to go differently. I'm going to need to adjust what I'm saying, what I'm doing.
If you ask them, you know, when you ask them, you know, what happened, where were you going to go when the home sold, you know, why was that important to them, you know, what was the best and the worst thing about their experience in selling the home and what they would do differently. If you've asked those questions in whichever way that you ask them, and they're not being reciprocal or they're not giving you any information or they've just hung up, then that's okay, you know. But if they haven't, then there's a reason. Yeah.
Interesting. All right, cool. Nice and simple. A lot of our audience members stated that they're having trouble staying motivated. Paula, what tips would you offer to an agent that struggles with this? Not just getting on the phone, but just a day where you just don't feel like it. Like, how do you work past that?
Oh my gosh, I have the worst case of I don't feel like it. I mean, I'm I have worked really hard to overcome the I don't feel like it. And it's a terminal disease, and it doesn't benefit anyone. Doesn't benefit any of your clients, any of your customers, or yourself for that matter, or your family. So I have found that accountability is the number one way to deal with the I don't feel like it. And I'm a huge component of having a very high accountability and to having a very of you know, to the point of being uncomfortable. And not a lot of people agree with it, and because they don't want to be uncomfortable. But in order to grow, you have to be uncomfortable. So I have multi-levels of accountability in my life, and because of it, I'm able to overcome the I don't feel like it. And then once you make it habit, you're still going to have bad days, but you know, you're going to have less and less bad days.
Yeah. Well, right, and you've already mentioned some of the accountability practices that you like to implement, like you have a pretty tight schedule.
Well, I have the role play in the morning for 15 to 20 minutes, and then in the evening I will either listen to, I have all the scripts that I use and on a CD, and I'll listen to that, or I'll write them out, or I'll write out the current closes that I'm using. So just to make it interesting, I change it up all the time.
And what sort of impact do you feel like these practices have on your business altogether?
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. Knowing what to say and how to say it is the absolute key to being successful in this business. I mean, so many people are afraid to pick up the phone because they don't know what to say. And once you make that easy for yourself, and once you, whatever script you're going to use, you memorize it and you personalize it to your own personality type, it makes the job so much easier. So,
yeah, well, and I imagine, I hear a lot of talk about consistency. I imagine that it's easier to be consistent when you know what you need to be consistent about.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you consistently go eat ice cream, then you'll get the results. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of consistency that I'm reliable for. So you mentioned that you listen to the scripts on a CD. Do you ever listen to your own calls?
I do. I record my own calls, and once a month I listen to them. I also have my coach. I usually send him a bottle of scotch and my tapes at the same time. My recordings at the same time. No, but he does listen to them and gives me advice on what I could have done differently or things that I could do better, and always having that outside influence is really, really impactful. So.
Yeah. Well, say that you're an agent just starting out and you're looking for ways to improve. When do you think an agent should start doing this? Is it right away, or do you think it's beneficial for everybody?
Absolutely. It's painful. It's painful to listen to your own calls. All the time, I hang the phone, like I'll be finished with the call and I'm like, I should have said this. It's always right after the call that you think of all the clever things you should have said. So it is impactful. And you go back and say, okay, if this was to happen again, which it always does, I will handle it this way. And it's absolutely a great thing for us to do, to practice.
Yeah. What's like the side effect of that? I mean, obviously you get to be critical of yourself, which is great, but do you feel like it builds confidence at all or anything like that?
Knowing what to say builds confidence. So that's the end result. Knowing what to say and how to say it builds confidence. So when you go back and you go through those, calls and you practice your scripts and you handle situations or you reiterate, if I would have handled it this way, the next time you can handle it without having to it's amazing. Once you practice it a few times, it will automatically just come out.
Yeah, and I imagine that kind of goes back in part with saying the same stuff over and over, listening to the same stuff over and over. From your experience, what would you tell our audience to specifically listen for? Maybe red flags or things that you wish that you would have picked up on earlier in your career?
Stop talking about yourself. I mean, honestly, stop talking about yourself. Start talking about what is important to the client. Start talking to them about moving to Florida. Start talking to them about that bigger house. Start talking to them, and if you're telling, you're not selling. So so asking questions is the key to that. I mean, you have to continually ask more questions. And dig deep. Ask what's important about that. What's important about this? Once you realize that you're talking and you're telling, then they start to tune out.
Yeah. Right. Well, because it's just another sales call to them.
Yeah. Well, they can't get you off the phone fast enough because you're not listening to them.
Right. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Awesome. Okay. I think we're ready to go ahead to our next section, which is really about just approaches, techniques, and methods. And this is great because this really gets into the nitty-gritty of your unique approach to prospecting specifically expireds. And these are the techniques and tools that you've discovered that work. And honestly, we've already covered so many of them. And just with going with not just your success rate, but, how passionate you are about giving hope to these people and to really helping out. I guess the first question, and you did mention that you use scripts. What kind of scripts do you use when you're prospecting?
I've been part of my carrier organization, so their scripts are the scripts that I've used since the very beginning. A lot of people look at their scripts and know, oh, that's not me. I could never ask those questions. They seem too upfront, so forth and so on. But I have found that once you memorize the scripts and you make them your own, like I can have 4 people ask the same questions on the script, and because we're 4 different personality types, they will come out completely different.
Yeah, no, definitely. Do you feel like people should use different scripts according to their different personalities, or do you think they should just kind of work on saying things a little bit better?
They should just learn what to say and then shut up and listen.
Yeah, that seems to be a pretty consistent theme.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the reasons you chose Mike Ferry scripts? Like, what do you like about them?
I don't like them at all, but they work, and they get to the point, and they keep me on track. I mean, I'm an expressive personality. I can get to rambling, and I can get to talking to people. If I find out they like dogs, or they love this, or they love that, we can be talking about all kinds of things, but nothing about real estate. So it keeps me on task. It keeps me focused. It keeps me focused on the client and their motivation. They're all question based, so they're all questions. So the basic concept is you ask a question, and then here's the other thing that you have to learn when you're talking about to an expired or for sale by owner. You have to agree with them no matter what they say. They could say, I'm going to sell this house for $1 million and I'm going to move to Mars and eat cheese the rest of my life. And you have to say, wow, that's really interesting. So what's important to you about moving to Mars and eating cheese the rest of your life? Like, you can't say, you know what, you're crazy and there's no way the house is going to sell for that. I mean, as soon as you make them wrong, you've created an adverse situation, and you're making it harder for yourself. I'm not saying you have to lie to them. I'm just saying that you have to agree with them, and you have to be on the same page with them in order for them to trust you and for them to start telling you what you need to know in order to help them.
Right. Well, because it's not a matter of disagreeing with them. It's just a matter of, like, I can agree with you that I know what you want.
Yeah. I mean, listen. I want $1 million. I want you to get $1 million for this house. But if you could only get 325, would it still make sense for you? And would it still get you to Mars? And would you be able to afford the cheese that you want to eat?
if it's not too expensive as cheese, I guess.
Right. Can we still help you reach your goal? And that's the bottom line.
So once you have these leads and once you call them and you're talking to them, can you kind of explain how you like to follow up with your leads?
Sure. I have a system. When I find someone that has motivation, that will either make an appointment with me, or I feel like they're going to make an appointment with me in the next 7 days, I will send them a thank you note. And then I'll usually email them. If they'll give me their email address, I'll email them a copy of my plan of action. I don't email the whole package. I just email the plan of action. And then the next day I'll email them, or I'll pick up the phone and I'll call them. I'll send them a thank you email, and then I'll send a copy of my past client references. And then I just call them every other day until they make an appointment with me. And I just basically say, hey, it's Paula from Coldwell Banker. I know we talked on Wednesday, and just wanted to check to see if you're ready to get your home on the market and get it sold so you can move to Florida.
Nice. Well, plan of action. What does that entail?
It's an 18-point plan of action of things that I'm going to do in order to get the home sold. And, agents should sit down and they should go through and they should decide what they're going to do, what their plan of action is going to be. Because, a seller wants to know 3 things. They want to know how much my home is going to sell for, what you're going to do to sell it, which is your plan of action, and how long is it going to take. And so we have to be prepared to answer those questions.
Nice. Awesome. And I bet that, honestly, your clients really appreciate it. I couldn't imagine being in that frustrating of a situation, and then also, like, trying to get, on the same level with an agent who isn't telling you what they want to do, what they're going to do, how this is even going to work.
And yes, they want to know what you're going to do, what makes you different, and especially when you're talking about expireds. They've already had one bad experience. And here's the thing, whether their agent did all the things that they said they were going to do or they didn't, the bottom line is that their perception is their reality. And there is nothing you're going to do to change that except for sell them your reality. And your reality has to be, I'm going to do A, B, and C, and I'm going to communicate with you on this day on a regular basis until your home is sold.
I feel like a lot of it is just getting to that same plane of understanding, and that's work on both ends. But if you do most of the legwork, it feels a little bit better to them because it sounds like they've already been through a whole lot.
Exactly. You got to give them a reason to trust you, and and you got to differentiate yourself from all the other agents out there.
Right. Well, and we know that when, something is expired, we know that if there was a previous agent, obviously something didn't get done. So, but what's the one mistake you feel like prospecting agents make regarding expireds? What can they do to fix it?
They can stop talking about themselves, and they can start listening and start asking questions. Yeah.
Start asking not just the right questions too, I would imagine.
Right. So many agents get into this trap where they feel like they have to A, be right, or B, they have something to prove, and they say, oh, well, I could do it better, I could do this, I could do that. If you're saying the word I more than 3 times on a call, then you're not listening, you're talking.
Yep, that's true, because like you said, it's not a typical sale. They're frustrated. They just want you to understand their reality, and they want it to be fixed.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I think that's great. So with your plan of action, you said that's an 18-point plan of action. How much of that comes from just you staying on top of the market? What information from your research goes onto that plan of action, and how do you stay on top of the market for that information?
Well, I mean, the 18-point plan of action is basically, what you're going to do to get the home sold. So I'm going to, make sure that we, put it in the MLS. We're going to make sure all the details are done. You're going to make flyers. You're going to, you're going to have professional photos taken of the property. You're going to, do a virtual tour, whatever it is that you do to sell homes. So, whatever that is.
It's more of a user or seller experience.
Exactly. So that's your plan of action. As far as the statistics are concerned, an agent that is worth their weight in gold is someone that knows exactly what's going on in the market. And you got to know when you go in how many homes are on the market right now, how many sold in the last 30 days, and how many didn't sell. And when you have those statistics, you come across you are more valid than those numbers are more valid than anything you can say or any marketing that you can do.
Right. Well, because it puts you on top of the game. You're more knowledgeable.
You have validity in your conversation.
Right. Well, what are some resources where you find that information, and how often do you check up on that? Is that daily for you, or?
So all of those statistics are in the MLS. So, we look up, we have it set up, we have searches set up to come to us and that tell us every day how many homes once a week, how many homes have come on the market in each of the price brackets, how many homes have sold and how many didn't sell, and what the current inventory numbers are. And we check it once a week. So we can always tell our clients, hey, you know what, this is what's going on in the market.
Yeah, so it makes you more knowledgeable. It also kind of gives more validity to that plan of action you were talking about.
The numbers and the statistics in the MLS are real numbers. It's just like when you get on a scale. They're real numbers, and they don't lie. And if you can, when someone asks you how the market is, if you say, oh, it's a great market, that has no validity. If you say, there's 5,512 homes for sale, and last month, and last week, 517 homes sold, when do you want to sell yours? That is that brings validity to the conversation. Yeah,
and I imagine also trust and comfort, knowing that you're talking to somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, so you mentioned, let's get kind of into other tools that you like to use. So you mentioned that there's podcasts, there's books, there's the Mike Ferry program. Is there any other additional resources that you would recommend?
Your friends and family. If you have kids the kids are the best accountability partners ever. Like, I don't have any, but I know people's kids are the best accountability. You tell your kid that you're going to take them to Disneyland if you make, if you go on 5 appointments this month, they're going to be like coming home like every day like, Dad, did you go on your appointments? Like, they are huge accountability clients. They are great about accountability. Don't be afraid to, put your schedule on your door and share with the office what you're up to. Don't be a secret agent, share with your broker what your goals are. Ask them to hold you accountable. We have a great group of people that one of the great tools that we use is a Google Hangout, and we prospect together, 5 or 6 of us prospect together on the Google Hangout. So I can often hear how they handle objections. I can hear whenever I have a bad call, they could say, Burlison, it's good, you got this, whatever. If I'm not if I'm not on there at a certain time, I have to contribute $12 a minute for every minute I'm late. There's ways to hold yourself accountable. There's ways that you can, but it basically is you have to make yourself known. You have to tell people what you're up to, and you have to ask them to hold you accountable.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I use Google Hangouts as well, but I never really thought of it that way. It's kind of like a live motivation.
Yeah, well, they're going to be there waiting for you. We all know, here's the thing, we all know that we will do things for other people that we wouldn't normally do for ourselves. And if you have someone waiting for you at a coffee shop, you're going to show up. If I have my other agents that I'm in my mastermind group that are waiting for me in our Google Hangout, and if I don't show up, I get a text from them, that's accountability, and that you're going to show up. You're going to show up more often, and just by doing that, you're going to be more successful.
Right. I totally agree. And that's one of the reasons I have Google Hangout for a completely different reason, but it's insane how accountable you'll make yourself, not just for other people, but people who are close to you, like you said, friends and family.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think that's wonderful. So let's say that you're just starting out. You wanna prospect expires, and you've mentioned a lot of tools that you use. You have the Mike Ferry program, like podcasts you listen to. Do you feel like there are any tools or programs that are absolutely essential that somebody needs to implement?
This is going to sound so scripted and so well played, but I love REDX. I've just been ridiculously in love with them. I literally, they make my job so easy. I log into my Vortex. I have the expires that are preloaded in there in less than 10 minutes. I have everybody that I need to call. I use their storm dialer to call so that I don't get distracted, and so I stay on the phone. And it continually dials, so I have to be paying attention, and it increases my call ratio, or my contact ratio. So, if it was me and I was in any age, new or old, and getting into the business, you come to the realization that time is the number one thing you sell and is the most valuable thing to you. And the more time I can save and the more efficient I can become, the more money I can make and the more people I can help. Once you realize that, and know that REDX is going to cut down the time and the frustration, it's going to be a no-brainer.
Well, yeah, and that's a big part of the Mike Ferry program as well, is just assigning time to a number. Like, I lose a minute, I lose X amount of dollars. So I imagine, having that time and having those numbers is very important.
Yeah, and as part of in the coaching, we get the numbers analyzer, and it just, you would love it. It breaks down everything. And so I know that every time someone hangs up on me, currently, I make $22 every single time someone hangs up on me. Every single contact I make makes me $22. Wow. And that kind of mindset helps you through getting through your contacts on some of the worst days. So that's impactful too. I mean, having that number analyzer, and then having my accountability group with the Google Hangout. I have my goals in front of me. I'm the girl with the dream board that wanders the universe. So I literally have like photos of places I want to go, things I want to do, inspirational things that are great, and I just plastered them onto a board, like just a display board, and I put that in front of me when I prospect. So when somebody tells me something I don't want to hear or is mean to me, I just go, man, you know what? We're going to Thailand for Christmas. I gotta keep dialing. So it's okay, and it's okay. And here's the other thing: when you come to when you really think about it. Did this seller wake up this morning and say, you know what, when Paula Burlison calls me today, I'm going to tell her to just take a flying leap? No, they didn't, So we have to remember, we cannot take things personally that have nothing to do with us.
Mhm. Agreed. I think that's so important, not just for your line of work, but really for anybody who has to call and talk to strangers. Coming from somebody who's a call center veteran.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you call them, have you ever, I'm sure that, you've taken a call probably when you shouldn't have, like, you didn't know who it was, so you answer it, and the kids are screaming in the background, or, you're driving, or you're in the grocery store. It's just a bad time, you got soup on the pot. Who knows what it might be, but you know what? It's just not the right time to take a phone call. And they just, whether they hang up or they say, I can't talk right now, or whatever it is, that has nothing to do with you.
Right, and they usually don't even remember. They're done. They hang up, and they're not like, I'm so angry. They're just like, it just goes right out of their head.
They're so good. I have had clients who literally read me the riot act, took down my name, took down my phone number, said they were going to call and, tell the whole world what a jerk I am, and I called them 2 days later, and they don't even remember. So it's our ego that gets in the way. Like, we are the most telepathetic people on the planet. Like, we make up stuff about people endlessly. And so we go, oh man, the last time I talked to this person, they were really rude, and I don't want to talk to them anymore. You could call them back, and maybe they were just having a bad day. Mhm.
Definitely. Everybody has bad days. It's not just you coming to work not wanting to deal with stuff sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and you mentioned, sorry, I don't mean to take us away from this, because I think this is all wonderful, and I think it's great for our listeners to hear how important you find just being genuine and looking for ways to actually help people and listen to them. I think that's so important because, with the analytics and even just hitting goals by numbers, it's easy to kind of lose that, and you want, it's what separates you, in my opinion. It seems to be what separates you from like the average agent. You have not just got those numbers down, but you successfully know how to help people and listen to people. And so I don't mean to take away from that. I think that's all wonderful. I just had a question I was thinking about when you were talking about using like Vortex and the dialer. So you said it cuts down on 2 things. Time, which is great because as we established, that's money. And then you said frustration. So have you, in all the time that you've been a real estate agent, there was a time before REDX. So what do you think happens to agents when they try to proceed without these tools, when they just kind of dive in at their own volition?
I think that there is plenty of business out there, and there are lots of different ways to get business. This is just one great way to get business. The bottom line is that if you don't talk to people and you just wait for business or you advertise, it's going to cost, if you advertise you're buying business, and it's going to cost you a fortune. If you wait for business, you can wait, take floor time, do open houses. You're going to do 10, 12 transactions a year, and maybe that's your goal, and maybe that's okay. But if you want to succeed at a high level, you have to talk to a lot of people. Just like you have to move a lot of dirt to find gold. You have to sift through it, and it's arduous.
Lots of grunt work, it sounds like.
It is, and if you are trying to do it without a service, it's going to take you a significant amount of more time. You're going to be making a significant amount more numbers without the results, and you're not going to be motivated to continue to do it. Yeah.
No, it's totally true.
The reality is that you're going to have to talk to a lot of people in order to make money. And here's the thing. Again, going back to the reverse engineering, I make a certain number of dollars per contact. And the reason why I know that is because I know it takes me to get a signed listing contract. I have to talk to 121 people. And that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So if you think you're just going to get on the phone and you haven't memorized the scripts and you're not practicing and you're just going to make an appointment with the first person you talk to, it's a reality check. But here's the bottom line. If you go out in the street and you ask anybody that you meet at Target that you are, that you will give them $6,000 to make 6 hours of phone calls, I bet you could get a line of people that would be willing to do it.
I think so too. Yeah. The thing is,
so why are we not willing? So why are we not willing?
Right. No, totally. And the thing is, how is it different from any other job? I mean, there's a lot of things you don't just dive into not knowing what to do. Like I would no sooner jump into a Lakers game and try to play basketball with the big guys.
Right.
So you got to practice. You got to get to the point where you are a superstar. You are at that successful level where you are just above everybody else in terms of, not just metrics, but your circle of influence, the recommendations you receive. So why would that be any different?
Yeah, and the bottom line is that, an NFL team practices for 40 to 60 hours for a 2-hour game.
Oh, yeah.
And people, they make a lot of money to do it. So here's the thing. If you want to make a lot of money, you have to have the right tools. You have to practice. You have to hone your skills. You have to constantly be getting feedback. You have to have a business plan, and you have to learn some sales skills.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I know you always have to build on those skills, and you gotta have to keep going. But let's say that the real estate agent that's listening right now, there's a lot of them, but let's just say we're picking out the individual. What is one thing they could do right now, right this second, to be a better prospector?
Download the My Theory scripts, practice them, write them out, read them, and then pick up the phone and call 10 expireds and just get as much rejection as you possibly can and then go back and do it again.
Awesome. Love it. So this is my last thing, and it's honestly a lot of it's for me because I'm a big reader. I love podcasts, love blogs, and you've mentioned quite a bit. I wanted to get down some names. What are the people, blogs, books that you recommend?
I highly, highly recommend Success Magazine. It's easy to read. They also have a success podcast that goes along with it. It is, it's, one-page articles with high achievers or thought people. There's always some great ideas in there. There's a huge list of books. Always be asking each other, what books are you reading, and, being involved in that kind of stuff. Let's see. Let me just look at my playlist. Oh, that's a playlist.
Yeah, what kind of music pumps you up?
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. So having great music when you prospect and standing up when you prospect is absolutely required because it changes your tonality, it changes your energy.
What do you like to listen to?
I don't know. You listen to whatever music makes you, that gets you excited. So it's different for everybody. Let's see. I listen to a lot of Tony Robbins. And he's great. He's very passionate and great to listen to. I listen to a lot of Darren Daly, or Darren Hardy. He's really great. He's very passionate also. So, those are some of my favorites.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I would love to, if you would like to send me that list of books, I'd love to add it to the end of this blog set so people can kind of take a look and see what kind of books they should be looking into. And it's great for me too, because I'm always looking for something fun and new to read.
Well, so my favorite books right now are The Slight Edge, Versatile Selling, which is about the personality types.
Nice.
Let's see, The 10X Rule is a pretty intense book. The Art of Exceptional Living is a fantastic book. There's a lot. I mean, I probably have over 100 books that I read. So, having Audible on my phone is one of the best things. So this is what, I know we talked a little bit about mindset, but there's one thing that I really, really want to share with people.
Yes, please.
Just like our bodies, our minds are receptive to what we put into them, okay? So like we were talking earlier, if you eat nothing but pizza and ice cream and all of those yummy things, what kind of health are you going to have?
Not great.
Not great, right?
Experience.
Me too. And but see, here's the thing. The news, media in general, has nothing good to share with you. The morning news is the only thing in the world that says good morning and then gives you 50 reasons why it's not.
Right.
If you feed yourself, vapid, reality shows and you spend your time watching, TV that's entertaining, but that's not pushing you forward, you've fed your mind ice cream. You've fed your mind pizza. You've fed your mind garbage. And when you wake up in the morning, you don't feel great about getting out of bed. You're not excited to be alive. By changing the tape, by reading great books, by listening to inspiring people, by watching inspirational videos, you're reprogramming your mind to see the positive in the universe. And when you do that, your mindset is different, and it changes everything about your reality.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think it's kind of like a diet, everything in moderation. Scoop of ice cream, sure, but give yourself the healthy things. Yeah, exactly. I think that's wonderful.
Constantly check yourself. What am I feeding my mind today? And if you don't have a good diet for your mind, then you might want to you can't expect to continually feed your mind garbage and for it to perform at its highest level. I mean, mentally, for your mindset and the way that you feel, and all of those different things.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful, Paula. You've given us so much to think about today. Honestly, it's been really wonderful putting the successful metrics to the kind of agent you are. I've heard a lot of good stuff about you, but it's really awesome and inspiring just to hear about you trying to connect. Or not trying to connect, succeeding in connecting with other people and, making not just a successful business out of it, but successful transactions, happy people who now have places to live. So I would guess my final question is just, do you have one thing, if you had to pick one word or one thing to attribute your success to, what would it be?
Commitment.
Commitment.
Awesome. You have to commit to yourself. You have to commit to others, and you have to be fully invested in that commitment. You will let yourself down more than anybody else. So you put together the accountability, tell other people what your dreams are, what your goals are, what you want to accomplish. Take constructive criticism openly. Don't take things personally that you have nothing to do with you. And, if all else fails, watch something funny, read a great book. stop and, read, something out of a magazine that's going to inspire you, call a good friend, all these things can be great things to do.
Yeah. I think that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Paula. I really appreciate all the time you've taken to talk to me today and to just share not just, advice for being a better agent, but honestly, if we're going to get into it, it's like advice for being a better version of yourself, just a better person.
Well, we deserve that, and you deserve that, and we all deserve that. So we just have to do the work. That would be the other thing, we be patient. It's taken, having a positive mindset and a strong business doesn't happen overnight. It takes work. It takes practice, and commitment, and it's a long term. And you know what? So what if it takes a long time? You're going to be better for it in the end. And you're not planning on being in the business, there's no other option than to get better. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that can be applied to definitely real estate, but any job. But you got to put in the work to get to that level. Yep, and make it about the journey, there is no destination other than the very best version of yourself. Yeah, I think that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Paula. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we sign off today? Nope, that's it. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Paula. Seriously, this has been awesome, and it's been wonderful getting to know you. Thank you. If you have anything else or there's anything else I can share, please don't hesitate to reach out. I would love to do that. On behalf of the REDX and our wonderful community, we would like to thank Paula Burlison for taking the time to share her wisdom and advice with us. I'd also like to thank you guys, the audience, and thank you so much for contributing your questions. We love helping you on your way to success. If you'd like to learn more about the REDX expires that Paula talked about today, or FSBOs, FRBOs, pre-foreclosures, or our multi-line storm dialer, go to theredx.com or call 800-731-7339. Again, that is 800-731-7339, and someone would be happy to answer any questions that you have. It was my pleasure working to find out what's important to you and getting answers for you today, and I'm looking forward to next time. Happy prospecting.